Here we go, and it's time for another sprint zone. This one is a little bit different. The road Kector was closed that we normally go on, which meant we will not see the iconic right-hand turn onto Prospect that we normally see. We already are on Prospect, and we will be drilling it through the stop sign. It's a smaller group today, which I honestly like. Makes for more melee, and there aren't a ton of supers in the pack. And this is something that I like to see sometimes. It makes people do a little more work. Sort of like you have the revolver and others get a chance to go to the front, because you don't want to bring a rested man to the front. And that's what happens sometimes when just one super out front pulling. Heading on, and I'm doing about 16, 17 mile an hour as I go to the front of the pack here. And I'd like to take this time to thank Dr. John Kraft for his telemetry, and along with Scott for his telemetry and data, and for the first time Mark Bianchi has provided his data. And you'll notice that my data is not there because my power meter wasn't working. So the only thing you'll get from me is my speed and where we are on the map. It is indeed time to get the party started, and someone said something about me getting the party started as I was making my way up through the pack. But someone has to do it. Otherwise, we'd just be cruising 16, 17 miles an hour for too long, and there isn't enough time to create a selection. Everyone has gotten strong enough now that we need the extended distance at some effort to create a selection. So let's look at the power here. 30-second power from Mark, Scott, and Dr. John Kraft, 230s. And DJC up there at 290. So everyone's in the 200s, mid 200s, and their instantaneous power was in the 300s for a second there. So this must mean I am doing a reasonable turn at the front, keeping everybody honest. Got Mr. Baum there, riding strong third wheel, riding a little bit above his station, and is slightly in the wrong position in the white. The wind is coming off the left shoulder, so he should really be to the right of Greg there in the Fort Collins Cycling Team kit. That would be saving him a little bit of energy there. Looking at Scott's camera, Scott's out there in the wind, but Scott can afford it because he has the power to be able to do that. Greg looking strong behind me, and everyone is still strung out, and no one looking to go around at this point. And at this point, I'm not really looking for anyone to go around. I'm probably at threshold, and I know someone will come around, but this is just part of what it takes to make things happen. Without a lot of supers here today, like I said before, we're not going to have the let's see who can hang on to Byron for the entire run at this one. It's going to mean a little cooperation, a little tactics get to be played. Greg going to the front here, and Mr. Baum does not want to hold the wheel. And I was saying to him, like, dude, I'm not going up there. You want to ride at the station, you got to own this position. But of course, he's unable to grab Greg's wheel, and others come forward. Got Marcelo in the purple, John there with the white sleeves. And what do we have there? Byron Besserol, cape flapping in the wind, going to the front. And it is, in fact, going to be go time now. Nice shot of yours truly and Scott's camera in the upper right. Got my white socks from Bike to Work Day. Not certain they go well with the kit, but they were what I found. Looking good into the corner, and everyone is still together. Ramming and thumping at 25 miles an hour. It's not a super hot day, but it's hot enough that it won't be easy. Got a little glimpse of JC there on Scott's wheel, and the big men, the heads of state, are not all at the front. They feel comfortable, especially seeing that Byron was in fact on the gravel bike. That means there's blood in the water, that he is in fact vulnerable, and that he could be taken down and no reason to go up front. Marcelo riding strong next to Byron out there in the wind, pushing hard early on. I think I might have been sitting in a little bit, but to each his own. Good shot of JC there. Only 190 watts for 30 seconds. Good shot of Curtis there in front of me as things are still moving at a reasonable pace. A little bit of a grade here, only 18 miles an hour, and Grupo Compacto. I seem to recall that this was pretty difficult, and as we can see, there goes John, unable to hold it as Byron pushes on. Marcelo on Byron's wheel, and it looks like Greg was unable to keep that wheel. Joel riding strong there, and he's been laying off some of the running for a while and focusing on riding, and it is paying off with very strong showings in the War ride, the SOAR ride, and of course the TFR rides. Marcelo going back through the pack as maybe it was a little bit too much too early, and Byron realizes no one is on his wheel, and he comes back. No one was going to play that game today. Joel looking strong, and there's a good shot of the big man there, and look at the cape just flapping there, comfortable as he is happy to be out there in the wind surveying the competition. Scott looking strong there with his glasses on, very nice look for him. JC looking strong there. I kind of miss Scott with that red, white, and blue kit that he had. That was a good look. I really like that. So now Joel is off the front, and now I am onto the front again, keeping people honest. 20 miles an hour. Everyone's speed is kind of, well, in that ballpark. And looking at rears, everybody's still there. Even Ilka on the gravel bike is there. Ian is there. Everybody is there. And there's no selection made yet. Here I am dancing on the pedals, trying to put a little pressure on folks to see if this little grid will snap people. But there's Ian on the blue bike there, riding up the yellow line, looking strong. And finally, Scott takes over. And you can see his wattage pops up there. And now the wattage for the big three at the top, close to 300 watts for 30 seconds. So that was not an easy effort. I can see Ilka back there, Jason back there, Curtis back there, who has not been to the front, who is a big man, a danger man, someone to watch out for. Scott's looking strong, and we're only doing 18, 19. I recall there was a bit of wind, but nothing crazy. And I think some of the heat is keeping the speeds down, or maybe this is tactical. Why blow yourself up at the front? And looking at the heart rates there, 140 for Mark, 159 for Scott, and 162 for JC. Yes, the efforts are not in earnest yet, but it is not a walk in the park. JC at the front, and we know that is going to mean trouble, and that means a second selection is going to occur. The question is, when is that going to happen? But JC is a benevolent man. He will not attack early on like this. He likes to string things out. And this was kind of a weird day because the wind actually shifted. And so the echelon had to shift. So you notice now that we are all on the white line, where before the shelter was towards the white line on the right. And at some point, somebody yelled up to JC to move his position. And this is one of these things that trying to find the draft, you need to be very exteroceptive. Maybe it's an exteroceptive. Yeah. And sometimes you're not. You just can't feel where the wind is coming from. And this makes it extremely difficult. People dancing on the yellow line there, flirting with the rules of engagement. I've got a nice position here, sitting behind Scott, kind of letting him go slightly, not needing to push a lot of wattage because I can bring him back and save myself a few matches at this point. And there goes the big man, Byron, on the gravel bike, up the inside, into the wind. And I am pleased to see this, as he is giving me a little bit of shelter. JC pulls off, and it looks like that might be Danny. Short stint at the front. Joel back at the front again. Greg coming through, and you look at the stragglers back here. Selections have been made, and Ilka is still hanging on. Curtis moving up in the red, and he has not seen the front yet, so this is going to be dangerous. Greg doing more than his share at the front, and people should come through here. This is a nice rotation, and this is what I'd like to see. I allow JC to have the courtesy to take my slot in line as I come through here. Everybody still working, and there is the attack by JC. strong watts there. 800 watts being thrown down. And Scott is quick to be on his wheel. A fresh Curtis is unable to make the attachment. And it looks like this is going to be the final selections there. Byron looking strong. And yes, there is a selection there. The wheel suckers, the NPCs have been tailed off. And Byron is just drilling it here. And if I recall, I was barely able to hang on here, hoping that he would be able to pull us longer all the way up to them. But it is not to be, for he has indeed brought a knife to a gunfight. And against the likes of JC, a man from his home planet, it would be very difficult to bring that back when he is on that handicap. More of a separation. It looks like only Curtis is there. Danny was tailed off, and it looks like only Byron and myself. Byron gives the thumbs off, and he is exhausted. And look how the head drops here. Yes, giving it his all. And it's just Curtis and I bringing up third and fourth. And at this point, I didn't really have anything. So Curtis comes ahead. We're cresting the line. I got fourth locked up, and a good time was had by all. And that was fun. That was good. That was fun. A smaller group there, and you can see the separation that occurred there. And just like magic, when the big watts are thrown down, that's what separates the heads of state from everybody else. And of course, myself pretending to be the head of state without a lot of supers here. And it felt good, although it was a lot of work. I'm hoping this will pay off as far as my fitness in the upcoming weeks, when I will attempt the Foco Fondo for the I don't know how many times. There we go. Some congratulations from Curtis. Nice work from everyone there. Kind of surprised that Marcelo wasn't there. Kind of surprised that others weren't a little bit closer. And of course, Mark Bianchi, looking at his power, he was putting out some good numbers here. I'm not quite certain why he was not there. It could have just been positioning because of the way that Echelon was from the right to the left. If you were caught back, you were pushing the same wattage as the big men up front. And the snap of the elastic, when JC went, that's all she wrote. In any case, that was fun. A good time was had by all. Until next time, peace out.